We got to know John Gallagher, the head coach at Hartford. They opened up the 2021 NCAA men's basketball tournament against Baylor, and Baylor eventually, about 10, 12 minutes into the game, just kind of took control. Fiery guy, funny as hell, just seems to be as good as you could ever want as a coach, and took Hartford to the NCAA tournament. But even then, there were signs that something
three times,
wasn't.
by the way.
Huh?
Three times.
It's
yeah.
still signs that maybe something wasn't kosher. And what was happening is the administration, the president, was in the background undermining, it appears, the men's basketball team, and now they are going Division III, and that happened soon after the tournament ended. Today, he announced his resignation. Paul, of everything he wrote he wrote a long release about his resignation. What was the one thing that stood out to you the most?
The one thing to me was, look, I get that they're going to D3 and there's budget cuts, but the things they were doing budget cut wise were just dangerous. Not sending an athletic trainer and not letting making the team pay for their own meals on the road. Like that's stuff that failing businesses do that, just don't make any sense. Like, if you don't have money to do something, you can't do it. And I get why they're having budgetary problems at Hartford, but this is like D3 schools at least send athletic trainers because you've got liability that you have to deal with as well. Didn't send them to a scrimmage at Dartmouth. What money are you really saving by not doing that when on the back end of that, the kid could sue you for not having – it just doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, I think that's what stuck out to me was not only are they going to D3 to save money, but they are cutting corners where that's beyond budgetary mindfulness. That's just crazy.
You got to have trainers. You got the debit card or whatever it was that they were trying to pay for something, that bounced as well. Craig, you remember John Gallagher. I hate it for him. Here's a note from him on this. He apparently, or at least somebody suggested, he was going to join Porter Moser at Oklahoma. And one of the reasons he did not was because he was assured they would not be dropped from Division I men's basketball. Now, I don't know what that timeline was, but he sued a member of the Board of Regents because he was promised they would not be dropped from Division I.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like this is any shock whatsoever. I mean, this has been a 2-year buildup towards this. We've been talking about this legitimately, him being on the outs at Hartford for at least 2 years at this point, and I just think it's unfortunate for the players more than anything. I mean, I hate it for him. He seems like a nice guy from our interactions, and certainly seems like he got dealt a bit of a raw hand and just doesn't have the administration that cares for, the sport that he happens to coach and that a lot of people care about. They see it differently, and that's academia for you. I mean, that's part of the deal. So, I mean, it's not like he can't ever coach basketball again. He can go anywhere else and probably find a job, so that's good. But on the other hand, for those players, that really sucks that they lost their head coach the day before their season starts. And apparently did so in the midst of, being a part of a team where they're paying, I guess, like you just mentioned, I don't know all the details, but they're, I guess, having to pay some out of their pocket. I would assume that's the coaches, not the players. But, the no trainer thing just is I don't know how you excuse that if you're Hartford. I don't even know how you pretend to try and to defend that. So I would be curious to know what they've said, if anything, about that part of it, because that just seems like a lawsuit waiting to happen. And again, I don't know how all that works, but that's just very poor judgment on their part to even risk that. And then sure enough, a player gets hurt. Like that screams to me that, yeah, something's way off. And there have been other things that have kind of screamed that, but we'll get to see the mask pulled off now, because they're going to have to go try and find a basketball coach here by tomorrow. And I'm sure they may have, named an interim, but I hate it for John Gallagher, and I hate it most of all for his players that, went through an entire offseason, committed to him and committed to that school, and the day before they're about to start this long journey that may or may not be very much fun for the next few months, you're going to pull the rug out with their head coach, or I guess he did. Ultimately, that sucks no matter how it happened. I hate that for those players, and hopefully they're able to enjoy this season and get things on track. But, yeah, just a really, really unfortunate situation there.
And, of course, Hartford has denied any of the accusations, as you would expect them to do. And they have their side of it. Story has been updated. Jeff Borzello saying that there's his resignation is full of inaccuracies and calling his accusations baseless. So, hey, we're fans of his. We don't know the entire story, but we saw this coming in the spring after the NCAA tournament, and then it happened. They are dropped to Division III or dropping to Division III, and he had a pretty good thing going there at Hartford. And unfortunately, a great run ended with this kind of a story with John Gallagher. He can and probably will, not this year. Not going to coach this year. Not sure about the terms of what Hartford owes him, et cetera, since he's resigning. But hate it for him, hate it for Hartford, and hate it for college basketball.